So why don't we just go back to the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
just trying to understand early influences towards money, mentors, that type of thing, and just set the scene for who you are today.
Yeah, sure. So originally from New Zealand, you might be able to tell from the accent, I'm not sure. So grew up in Auckland in New Zealand, which is, I guess, kind of like a smaller Sydney in a lot of ways. But, you know, it's a smaller country, so I guess it still has a bit of the vibe of being a small country. So you can still, you know, half-hour drive, you're in the kind of country if you want to be, or in the bush.
Nice.
Yeah, no, just a nice place to grow up, and yeah.
Yeah, great. And, you know, we often talk about entrepreneurial streaks as young people that then go on, you know, you see this recurring theme throughout their life. They might start something, fail something, or start something, succeed, but then they come back again and again and again.
Yeah.
Did you have any of that when you were growing up?
Yeah, I guess kind of growing up, my parents had come from kind of poor backgrounds. Mum was raised by a single mum, and Dad was the oldest of 10 kids. Yeah, and so they'd done really well. Dad got a trade and became a plumber and was kind of self-employed. So I guess I saw him operating his like independent business just himself, and so that kind of a bit of a theme. And Mum was a nurse, but she also did some kind of painting and arts and crafts and go down the market and sell it. So I'd be kind of down there from a young age helping them with that. I guess it was stuff that I didn't really think about at the time, but like in hindsight did kind of probably lead me to want to do something independent and that kind of thing. Yeah, and I guess because of that background, we didn't have a heap of money growing up either, but I just think they managed money kind of well, and you know, a lot of my toys went from garage sales, so we're kind of in there like negotiating, trying to find bargains and all that kind of stuff. If I'm trying to think of where that streak comes from today, and probably from those kind of things back then. Yeah.
So would you say that the influences that you had were more on the saving side and less on the investing?
Definitely less on the investing. Like I never knew investing was a thing when I was a smaller kid. Probably the first person in my family to own shares, I'd imagine. Right. Never talked about that at all. But definitely like never went into consumer debt or anything in the family, and you know, bought a house and paid it down, and so managing money, but more on the saving side. And I think for me, it's probably, I don't know if it's like upbringing or just like genetic that I kind of save. Yeah. I think when I was 6 or 7, there's still some note that I'd been writing at home where I was saving, like my dad would let me have the change when he bought something at the store, and I was saving it all up, and I had like, I remember writing down I had $8 and I thought I could have $12 by Christmas to like buy a box of chocolates for my parents or something. So I think that's probably just like in me, I guess. Yeah. And it was kind of later that I got into investing in my teens and that. So,
right. So let's jump forward to that part of your life then. So where did that spark go off? Was it something at school perhaps, or someone you met along the way?
It's kind of interesting. I guess I was like very interested in the world as a surprisingly for a young person probably. So I remember even when I was 10, someone was asking me, like friends were asking me what shares were, and I was like, I think it's like you share in the business. I was kind of just interested, but it was only, and I guess with kind of, I was probably more like socially interested. I saw a lot of kind of injustice, as I'd said. My parents kind of came from poorer backgrounds, and I guess the kind of melting pot of where I was living kind of saw both sides, and some people had a lot more than others, and just kind of how, you know, someone raised in one family with, you know, loving, supportive parents can have entirely different opportunity sets of what they know is possible. So I guess I was kind of like a bleeding heart as a young guy, and but as I kind of became a teenager, I started to not see. I originally was thinking I'd probably go into politics or something, but I started to not really see that as being that great of a solution. I guess kind of came to realize that I thought creating a business and what business can do to help people, and then, you know, you can choose to give that money to charity or start something else with it, was probably like a more direct path, if that makes sense. I remember there was a teacher, and it was like 13, and we could write an essay about anything we wanted. And mine was, should third world debt be cancelled, which is kind of unusual. Most people weren't writing about that. And the teacher after came over and he drew 2 circles on a bit of paper, and the one circle inside the other. And so the smaller circle was your circle of influence, and then the bigger circle was your circle of concern about the world. And he was basically like, look, you have much bigger concerns than you'll have influence. And me being maybe a rebellious teenager, I kind of like took that as a challenge. Like if you could increase your influence through maybe business and investing, then you could affect more. And so you can kind of touch more of that area of concern. So I guess that was like the early points of starting to think differently about it. And then, started reading some books when I was a teenager and whatever else, discovered this world of business and investing, and started getting a bit hooked then.
That's a very powerful lesson from your teacher to have that. That's a special one. I haven't come across that in the series thus far.
Yeah, it's still stuck with me a long time later.
So you obviously took an interest in investing, you started reading, you were beginning to understand the power of, I imagine, things like compounding and the impact you can make or you can have with through business.
Yeah.
When did you buy your first share and when did you start to put money at risk?
Yeah. So I was reading the business section of the paper from like 10 or 12 or something, but I didn't really have, it was probably a few years after I bought my first share, I really discovered value investing. So first share was pretty much as soon as I turned 18. That was when I was allowed to open a brokerage account. So I've been following for a few years and thought I knew everything. And yeah, exactly. And some stuff when you're watching and you're like, yeah, I really like the warehouse was a big thing in New Zealand, and I thought that was going to do well, and it did do well. And just thinking, once I can do this. And so first shares when I was 18, walked down with $1,000 I'd saved and opened that account. I had a paper round from like 10 or so. So I had, I guess, decent for that age amount that I'd saved up. I was starting to look to put it to work. And I think that first experience, I was probably unlucky and lucky. So I actually did well, but I think that was probably quite unlucky because I didn't have any good process. So the first shares I bought were in a vending technology company. So vending machines, like remote operated vending machines where they'd be updated via, they ran on a mobile network. This is obviously a while ago, but that was kind of cool and new. And I just thought it was like a great business. I think I'd read some business books around like how vending machines, like you go and put them out and you just come back and collect the money, and I liked that idea. And it went up and that was great. I ended up selling for a decent little profit. Probably later on went into bankruptcy, I think, that business. So like a couple of years later. So lucky. And then I had another bit of success and ultimately learned a few lessons because I got definitely thought I was a lot better than my process was at that time.
There's this idea called the humility curve, and you're probably familiar with it.
Yeah.
Your introduction to investing tends to become, you get these endorphins and you feel really good about it. Complexity peaks and then you come back to reality.
Yeah.
Some people have a good first experience. Some people jump that curve initially.
Yeah.